Good morning. Well, good afternoon. How we doing today, everybody? Good to see you here. How are we? How are we doing? Hello, hello. To you, Anonymous, George, Connor, Eighth Paradigm, Kevin, Daniel. Thank you guys for being here. Kaylin, Sir Roman, all of that. Thank you all for being here. Before we get going, really quick, just right off the bat, because obviously, seeing the things happening over in Liverpool there during the celebration parade, awful, awful, awful scenes there, and my heart goes out to obviously everybody affected, everybody involved, and everybody around there. That's just it's all bigger than football, bigger than sport, bigger than anything else to make sure, things like that are just horrific. And yeah, give my best to everybody, and hopefully it is okay, and everybody involved is okay. That's all. So it happens. These things happen, and they're you know hopefully we can stop them from happening in the future. But yeah, again, a lot of thoughts and everything go out to anybody involved in that. Football is a family at the end of the day, um, and there are things bigger, and there are things that bring everybody together, and things like that nobody wants to see, and hopefully we can never see them again. Um, all right, moving on from that, and I do mean I don't want to see any sort of things in the chat suggesting different things like you may know what I mean, but just don't. Don't suggest things like don't even go there towards suggesting these kinds of things. Um, Not gonna have it. Um, anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to talking about United. That's what we're here. Jonathan, madness on UV early. That was insane. That was an insane stream to be a part of with the guys over there. It's obvious to me what we were finding out on that stream is that people really want positivity. They want us to talk about how we're moving forward. They want us to, you want belief, you want hope. You want someone to tell you that everything is going to be okay and that we are all um, going to be fine, that United is on the way back up. And it is funny because apparently, sometimes people are telling me I'm too optimistic, too positive, um, all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, most people want to be hopeful. That's the truth. That's the truth of it. And the outrage farm clicks and things like that. But truthfully, people want to believe now that it's over. We've been mad. We've all been through it. We were there. Now we got something to go forward. We want to go forward. We don't want to doom like some other channels, Jamesy. Yes, that's right. Um, so yeah, we are crap, but as our boss Ruben Amorim said, the good days are coming. That was a speech, man. It really was. It was a speech. It was a speech. I believe him. I believe. I believe. I believe. I believe. And what else can we do? We're talking about football. What else can we do but try to be happy? What try to see that something good is coming in the future. So that's what I want to see. Hope you're well. Hope you're all well too. And thank you to all the members. I mean, there's so many members now in this channel. I can't even believe it. Shay Lacey on the tour just when I thought I was out. I know. What a surprise. Maybe we'll see him Wednesday, Arena, my friend. Maybe we will. We got to do an end of season wrap up at some point as well. But yeah, Shay Lacey. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for him. Um, but yes. Ooh, I have a lot to talk about. Hold on a sec. This is wrong. I meant to switch my overlay. So before we get going, there we go. There we go. All right. So this is the subject matter: shenanigans. 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, shenanigans. Thank you for all of those as part of the membership and receiving it. I appreciate you. Yes, more laments links today. Keepers, and I'm gonna talk about keepers here in a minute, okay? And talk about what's happening there because certainly the keeper situation is going to be an interesting one. Tomorrow morning I will put out a video talking about all the potential sales, where everything is at, the amortization values, how it affects our budget, and all of that. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. Um, all of that. So yeah, we'll get to that too. Um, so yeah, here we go. There's a lot. The first thing that happened and is obviously yesterday. Cunha. Cunha is um, done. Isn't that nice? I mean, we kept saying no, don't worry about it, don't think about it, don't stress about it. Cunha is happening. There is no doubt about it. It has not been an issue for a while. I got no idea what you're talking about, Hamza. As I said, I don't want anybody making any suggestions. If I miss something, I apologize. There's about um, a lot of messages in here, so if I missed something, I'll let you know. Cunha. A big upgrade. I did a video this morning about what he will bring to the table and the difference that he will bring, and I am extremely excited for Cunha to come in. I really do think he is going to be um, incredible. Need to level up. You want me to go with the beard club, right? I ordered to see if I can get rid of one of these bald patches by using one of the little rollers. So we'll see. But yeah, Cunha, I'm incredibly excited about. I'm incredibly excited about. Um, I'm incredibly excited about. He should be a top player. No, I told you I can't iron the flag. He should be a top player. He should bring a lot to the table for us. It's an immediate um, upgrade on what we have, and that's what I tried to address this morning. That I think he will do. Derma rollers are I should have one today or tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm 33 years old and I still have like this one really bad bald patch, and I can't do anything about it. Yeah, there's a lot, man. There's a lot that this will do. And I was trying to think about, because we were talking about this on a red carpet earlier, about all the examples of when we brought in like Premier League proven players to United under Sir Alex and how quickly they slotted in. When did we 1992 game, there you go. When did we stop doing that? When did we stop doing that? Um when did we stop buying those players? When did we stop buying guys who are proven? When did we stop saying when did it become like a bad thing to buy players from the Premier League? Because there was at some point it started being said that at some point it started being said like there's something wrong with buying players, and even in the fan base there was like this like twist where it was suddenly like, oh, well, it's only because they're English, if and all of that, and then it's kind of flipped the other way to now where it's like, well, if they aren't English, if it, anyway, it gets crazy because I think I remember when we were linked to Declan Rice early on, um, people would say like it's only because he's English or something that people wanted him, like because he was in the Premier League and that we should be shopping from elsewhere. Very weird, very weird. Um, but it seems like we got stung because we got Maguire, we got Wan-Bissaka. I think that after that it got really bad. Like we stopped buying Premier League players, and got like scared of them. And that was very strange because there's such immediate like practically guaranteed wins when you look at the transfers in the past, the ones that have worked, and what our strategy used to be. But we did also overpay, obviously, like crazy. I mean, we paid like crazy for certain players, but I mean, you go back and you look like at some of the transfers we've done. And I apologize, that is so blinding, this one here, but like Berbatov from Tottenham. I mean, look, we got so many players from the Premier League that worked out, and from England in general. I mean, Valencia came from Premier League from Wigan at the time. I mean, Michael Owen came from Newcastle. I mean, you go back and you think about all the players that have helped us um, from the Premier League. Chris Smalling, that's funny. Um, and it kind of blows your mind that we backed away so strongly from doing that. Blackburn for Phil Jones, Ashley Young. I mean, we did have some misses, but these were good players. These were good players at the time. They were good players, but look at how much Premier League purchasing. Obviously Van Persie, the big example towards the end. There that helped us win a title, but I don't know. It's kind of wild. It is wild. We used to get some big ones from the Prem. And the overinflated prices are definitely an issue, but sure, I mean, Carrick and how many wins we had from the Premier League purchases and from England back in the day. And we got some good ones too from elsewhere. Don't get me wrong, Vidic and Evra and all of that, but these were affordable, cheap players at the time, cheaper players at the time. We got Van der Sar from Fulham at 34 years old. That was a nice deal. But yeah, we got burned at some point. You're right about that. The mid-table prices. We got Wayne Rooney from Everton, of course. We didn't used to worry about that. And I think we built a better team for the most part. Yeah, 16 million was pretty big at the time. Obviously, Ronaldo was not, but Saha came from Fulham as well. I mean, man, you go back, and you look at the numbers, and so many top players came from Premier League teams, came from other Premier League teams that were in the Prem at the time. And even in the early days when we were starting to get better and better, when we were kind of building a bit after Sir Alex, suddenly I mean, it's at the core right now. We still have some good Premier League players here at the moment, but yeah, I think you're right. When the TV money went up, the prices got inflated for the lower teams, the mid teams, the things like that, and we lost it. And we stopped buying them. We overpaid, and that changed from that point. Rio obviously as well. There's so many. Used to push for the move, but Alan Smith as well. There was a lot of good players that we bought. So I hope we're seeing a strategy of moving back there, because I thought last season it was a surprise. I thought we did it too little. It's what Bayern does. Buying the players from the league that are the best. Problem is we started to overpay for non-PL players as well. Well, exactly. I mean, look at the money that we spent on a number of people. But sure, yeah, Tevez. The prices are definitely inflated right now from what they were, but the amount of kind of like plug and play strikers and forwards brought in instant, is just wild. It's just wild that we can do that, and that's what Cunha will bring to the table. Cunha is an absolutely top player who totally and completely fits exactly what is needed by United at this point in time. Yeah, Cole, it was like whenever we need people, just go get a good Premier League player, and they would be the guy for long periods of time, and obviously, yes, Van Persie was plug and play. But yeah, while you're here, appreciate the guys reminding me to do that. Please like the video, please like the stream. Thank you very much. Please. I mean, look, Maguire and Wan-Bissaka did improve the team. We were at a different state of mind, different state as a squad, and we weren't, that good. But and we paid too much money, and we got into that thing where we paid way too much money, but we did improve with them. We did do better with those players. They did help us for this position that we were in, the state we were in. Because again, I've said this before, but when you buy from the Prem, you get the same player you purchased. It rarely do they drop. Like Maguire might have been a bit overrated in terms of how people were looking at him. But he came to us and he was the same player he was at Leicester at the time. He really wasn't any different. He was the same as he always was. So was Wan-Bissaka. They're the same players they always were. Kieran McGuire Instinctive Football said TV revenues went up by 2,000% and wages by 4,000%. Yeah, exactly. But look, it was like McGuire was not an 80 million player when we bought him, and then and he was playing a certain way, and he came and did the same thing. So did Wan-Bissaka. So did Sanchez, to be fair. Sanchez was in the decline. You ask any Arsenal fan, he was already in the decline when we bought him. Everybody knew it at Arsenal. That's why they wanted to let him go. That's why they were happy to move him on. But look at it in the reverse. They bought Mkhitaryan from us, and he flopped too. He was on the decline. He wasn't doing well for us. He didn't do well for them. It's really like, look at all the hits. Look at all the players that have worked out for the most part. There's a few exceptions. For the most part, but it usually you get what you pay for. I mean, Caicedo, you buy him for 100 million, you get one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. McAllister, look at all those hits from players in midfields and players transferring from lower table to mid-table clubs, stepping up, and they just kind of work, Van Dijk, obviously, big example there. There's just so many. You can get players, it's just more successful. So it has a better hit rate, I'd say it that way. Obviously, there's good players all around in football, but it does have a good hit rate. Obviously, Cunha is a bit of a madman for wanting to join United in this situation, but he always did. He wanted United once we approached him. And I think that's what changed my mind and my concerns is that, when we how would I put it? When we talk to a guy and you have some concerns and then they're just like, I want United. There's something about that, no former manager, no nothing else. He just wants United. And I think that's absolutely huge. I think it makes a difference. It's hard to fault a guy who's like that. Really, really is. It's hard to fault a guy who's like that. And that's it. I mean, there's guys who want to bring us back from the brink, and they have that insane attitude. It's the same reason Bruno's still here, and maybe he will stay. But it's the same reason he has stayed, to be a person who brings United back. And I think a lot of people do see the direction of travel is very good. And those are the type of people that we need, the guys who will die for the club. So Cunha, very excited, £62.5 million. Paid over 3 seasons in terms of installments, so don't really particularly worry about that. It's all good. I like that. Talking about Bryan Mbeumo. So we were speaking about Mbeumo a lot yesterday during the live. We talked about Mbeumo a lot because I told you then he is a target for us. He is a serious target for us. He is somebody we really do want to bring in. He's a player we really like. We've been looking at these 3 forwards for some time now. Okay. We've been looking at 3 forwards for some time, a left 10, a striker, and another 10. We want those 3 forwards. We want the goals. We want them to, we think this is the biggest issue with the team right now. So we really like him. We've made approaches. We've had some discussions. Right now, however, he's leaning towards going somewhere else. And the thing about it is I want to make this very, very clear, because in the transfer window, I think people react too strongly to news one way or another. And, that doesn't mean he said no to us. That doesn't mean he's completely turned us down. That doesn't mean he's completely off the table. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that there's like some major issue. It's just he might prefer to go somewhere else at the moment. And obviously the big draw is Champions League. Now, this has been a common theme that we've talked about in the lead up to the summer, that this is an issue with a number of players that we're going to have to convince to a degree This is another players that we're going to have to work on to a degree. Is how do we get these guys to want to be, to come to United given the situation? We've done it before. That many times we have convinced players to come to us over Champions League because it is a little bit short-sighted. There's clubs that make the Champions League, and every time they get in the Champions League, the next year they end up not in the Champions League. And they get knocked out in the group stages, and then you spend the second half of your season doing the same thing you were doing before. So what was the point of that? I can tell you from my info as well, from what I've heard, which I got to thank somebody for talking to me about this, but I have also been able to check it out with a few others. It's not about it's not shit like the system, the formation. That stuff is nonsense. It has nothing to do with that. It is not like somebody doesn't want to come in and play, as in a 3 at the back, so that's why they won't join. Not true. People have made such a huge deal about this 3 at the back thing, and they're totally wrong. They're totally wrong. It is not the situation. We do need to sell to get Mbeumo, right? Because we've got Cunha. We prioritizing a striker. We need more money for Mbeumo. We need more money for him. Again, in tomorrow's video, I'll kind of show exactly how we do it, how we make that happen, how we can get somebody, where the money's going to come from. But the obvious one is like Garnacho provides a big boost of money, but it's not just him. Jadon Sancho, we'll talk about sales here in a minute, but Jadon Sancho could, if they actually take the option up, could do it as well. You could probably guess the biggest alternative for Mbeumo that also play up in the north as well. That need a player of his quality and have Champions League too. So yeah, we need to sell. Obviously, we're intending to sell Garnacho, so that's going to allow us to fund getting that third one. There's Rashford as well. There's the Sancho option as well. Again, Chelsea, say Jadon Sancho started in the final game to help get them to Champions League. So maybe he's more valued. Maybe they'll consider it. A lot of people have said a decision has not been made and will be taken when they have their summit now. According to some reports, he's very happy in London now, and as he always would be, and ideally will stay there. But the deal with Chelsea is they were always going to have this end of year summit, and then going to Burnley, exactly. They were always going to have this end of year summit thing that they do and then make the decisions. But it seems like look, is Chelsea seriously expecting to send him back? How do other clubs expect him? I agree, and I do think that's a consideration. I know it's very easy to say they'll pay the $5 million penalty. They might. It's a clause in the contract and all of that, but you have to say it makes them look a bit waffly to do something like that, but at the same time, business is business, we don't know how long this clause is. Technically, season's over. That clause should be active right now. They should be due that obligation. I would imagine there is a time limiter of a very brief amount of time because the window is about to open. June 1st, the window is about to open. Realistically, we need to know before June 1st, because what if we wanted to sell Sancho during that window? We need to know, is he our player or is he yours? So I think we will need that they will have to answer this week, because it cannot be that we don't know during the window being open whether he's our player or not. That it cannot be an unknown at that point in time. The default is that he's their player and they have to pay us. Surely the clause is only valid up until the transfer window begins. and then after that it's settled, because otherwise how could we sell Sancho? How could we talk to other clubs about him? How could we discuss anything, to know where we're going with this player and his future? So I imagine we will have to hear about it this week. But yeah, we need to make some moves to get Mbeumo. I don't think it's going to be something that's done overnight either way for any club, because there's no rush for certain clubs to be making their big signings, and it's very likely that they'll need to wait. They'll need to get something by July 1. They probably won't want to make a purchase before July 1. Some of these other clubs. So it's an interesting factor here on Mbeumo. Maybe he goes. Maybe he goes to Newcastle. Maybe he goes to one of these clubs in the Champions League. But it may not be fast either way. And that provides an opportunity for us to convince. I mean, we've been here before. We've had to convince Lenny Yoro. We've had to convince Xerxes was off to Milan last year, from what I remember. He was like a done deal to AC Milan, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. And we were all like, oh, we're not signing Xerxes. And then we got him. And we convinced him, and he changed his mind. Well, Lenny showed the same, and potentially with so many, there's going to be other targets like that. Obviously, that'll fall into the striker subject here in a minute, but we're going to have to do some convincing. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of them. You look at, Cunha and Mbeumo, you can see stylistically very much the same types of players as tens. Cunha is a bit better on the ball, bit more on the carry, bit more on the dribble. He scored a few more non-penalty goals, because Mbeumo does have 5 penalty goals, if I'm not mistaken, out of his 20. Still, 15 is great numbers. But, they're creative players. They're guys who are aggressive, who do everything, who are really good in the final third. The one thing I got to add about Mbeumo, which is absolutely insane, is look at those minutes. 3,755 minutes for Mbeumo. This guy is an absolute monster of a workhorse for a player. So when you talk about athleticism, when you talk about the robustness, when you talk about physicality, this is something that has to be considered into that as well, because you can define it in a lot of different ways. And Mbeumo is insane. I mean, that is an absurd amount of minutes to play. I mean, over the course of the season, I don't even know how that's possible. It's like you realize that like 90 minutes times 38 games is 3,420. How has he played 335 minutes more than the maximum for Brentford this season? How is it even possible? Has he ever been subbed in his life? Has he ever been subbed the entire season? Has he ever been substituted? I'm guessing no. Did he start 38 games? Like, how is that actually possible? It's wild. That is absolutely wild to me. How many minutes did Bruno do? He's probably not a winger, but hold on, let me see. Bruno did 3,300. So yeah, Mbeumo probably played every single minute of the season for Brentford. He stays on the pitch during halftime, right? Like, what the hell, man? That's extra time. It's extra time. He's never I want to go actually look at this, because it actually blows my mind. I didn't even do the math on that, but he is probably I don't think he was substituted. Check this out. Yeah, of course extra time would be, because those minutes count. Look, he's never been substituted. Wait. One game here, 87 minutes. He's been substituted one time all season in the Premier League. Once. All season at 87 minutes. That is unfucking believable. I'm not gonna lie. Like that blows my mind. I cannot believe that actually. That is a mental record. So, when you look at the talk about, Ineos and Wilcox and them talking about physicality, commitment, athleticism, these types of things, that is insane. Um, Maybe came off a 90 the first game too, fair enough. But that is insane. I mean, that is absolutely insane. No doubt about that. Yeah, personal terms shouldn't be an issue because you're talking about but it's a different thing. He clearly, we can offer a contract. The wages, the things, everything we offer will be good on that front. But we might have to adjust our wages or our offer to be flexible, to be enticing. I mean, look, let's be real. What can you do when you want to convince a player? Can you tell them, look, if we go 2 seasons without Champions League, you can have a release clause of 50 million? I would do it. Why not? Why not? Why not be flexible in this? Why not give peace of mind to players, why not? Why not do those types of things, to let players be in there? What if you give them a bonus when you're not in Champions League? I'm just saying, like, there are ways that we may not even hear about. There may be things in Lenny's contract that we don't know about to convince players of what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, Mbeumo is an absolutely incredible player. As far as your 10s go, Cunha and Mbeumo is pretty much the perfect dynamic. They are pretty much the perfect dynamic for footballers in this system, for 10s, for wingers. I don't think that's an incentive to lose. Kombucha is kind of like a cough medicine. Depends. So, it's just I'm dreaming about that because it is unbelievable when you make the comparison of what it may look like, and it's what we want. Yeah, they have better players than us. I agree with that. They just have better players than us, and we can do better than them. If you sign, and that's the question. That is the question. If you sign Mbeumo and Cunha, but let's not even say we sign them. Even just the fact that we're looking at them, right? Even just the fact that we're looking at them is telling, isn't it? What is it telling us? What does it tell us? Cunha is mega creative, by the way. I just want to show you something because I think I did a video on Cunha this morning, and I think that people are maybe mistaken on the creativity of players. Like I think maybe people are underrating the creativity of some of these guys. I just want to show you for a second. Brian Mbeumo is 5th in the entire Premier League in chances created with 70. Okay, he's they are really good at creating chances, and that's without everything having to flow through them, right? Bruno's obviously tops, we know that. And then Cunha is 57 according to this one, which is 17th in the league. These are pretty crazy numbers for guys, for these types of players. Yeah, that it's per 90. So Cunha, if you look at it per 90, is actually even a little bit better than Mbeumo, who's on 1.8. So, regardless though, when you play every minute, that's great. So you get Bruno. Fine, I understand, but everything runs through Bruno, and I'm not saying that that's like a good thing or the bad thing or all of that. Look, you can say it's because of set pieces or corners or things like that. I hear you, James. Welcome to the Pro Muppet namesake. I hear you on that, but that doesn't actually discount the creation of chances. You realize that, because it would be nice if we could take good corners. it would be nice if we could take good set pieces. You know, you can win and score goals off of set pieces, of corners. Message retracted. What happened? Did they disappear? What happened? That's so weird. How strange. But Bruno also takes all our set pieces too, for what it's worth, and he's taken a lot of corners too. But you want to just my point is, look at the touches, 79.11. You look at them, and you compare the touches to the chances created, and you realize that you can spread the ball. Oh, go away. You can spread the ball around. Look, 54. So it's not like these players are getting as many touches as Bruno is, right? So you can spread around the ball, and Bruno's on all our set pieces too, by the way. So I don't know what the counter to that is. We have, point being, Bruno creates a lot of chances, but he's also taking most of the touches. We can become a better team by relieving the burden off of one player, because this is why we perform so poorly. If Bruno has a bad game, we have a bad game. There's games when Mo Salah doesn't score that Liverpool still win. There's games when Kevin De Bruyne isn't on top of the world that City were still winning games. We're a Bruno team. We need to be more than a Bruno team. We need to be a team that can create chances across the board via different positions, different ways, different flows. You look at the game yesterday. I wish SofaScore was working for me, because it's basically broken, and I still can't get it to work on this computer, though. I'll have to open up a different browser. Sometimes I can get it to work from there. But when you look at the game yesterday, not now. Oh man, it's so busted. When you look at the game yesterday, yes, Bruno creates the goal with his assist, right? But there were plenty of other chances being created. We were creating chances in the first half via 6 different ways, and then Ahmad gets the penalty as well. I don't even think it was a great game from Bruno. In fact, I think aside from the assist, it wasn't like he was the guy making everything. A lot was coming out from different places, different angles, different everything. And I thought that worked really well. Missed a super chat. Kaolin, no Delap or Gyokeres use that money for Mbeumo. Well, potentially, but we need a striker. But we can talk about that in the striker section in just a moment. But look, I hear you guys, because I've had the same thought. Well, if you're doing this and you're putting these two here, which I think is absolutely brilliant, by the way, then where's Bruno playing? Because we kind of touched on this yesterday. If you bring him in deep, then you're going to have to run basically Bruno Ugarte, Bruno Casemiro all season. You can obviously play different games when you substitute players, where you move Bruno up and all of that. Do you push Mbeumo out wide? Do you just rotate a lot? What do you do here? But it does make me wonder. However, at the same time, the reality is we got to think past Bruno, even if he's staying. This was the point about maybe we sell Bruno, maybe we don't. But either way, even if he stays, we have to think past him. We can't build our whole team around Bruno Fernandes anymore, because he may not be here in the future. So he may not be that good in the future. So what if you just have options? Now, I think it's going to be hard to convince players without them being the top guy. Cunha's obviously starting here. There's nobody even close to better. But it is a conundrum. Because if you start like this, and you do this, then what happens? It kind of makes sense to move Bruno and buy some young players to fill the team out, doesn't it? It does, but it's confusing. Your vote to replace Bruno as Mateus Fernandez, and like there's options. Like if we reduce his role, it extends it. If we, yeah, I mean it's a curiosity, but it's just if you started all of these players, who starts the first game? We're only playing one a week. We want to play our strongest lineup most of the time. Who starts game one? Because I don't know, man. It's interesting. Chidi has better players on the bench. I hear you on that, but Mbeumo's not going to be a substitute. He's played every single second. Neither is Cunha. That's not why he's joining us. And look, whoever we get for striker, we're also going to have to convince them to come and be the main man. Like, let's say we do get Liam Delap. Let's say we do get Liam Delap. Well, the only way we're getting Delap or Gyokeres or whoever is by making them the main man. You know what I mean? That's the only way. Are you sure it's not Mbeumo instead of the two strikers we've been linked to? Not as far as I've heard, but at the same time, like, no, because you know what? I'll tell you why. If you even look at the articles today, I've not got any evidence to suggest that. I've wondered that myself. Do we go for Mbeumo if we can't get our striker? Bruno does a lot in the locker room, and I get that too. What can we do with him? You know what I mean? Like I'm with that as well, but like what can we do with him then? How do we make this all work together? We're just going to have to play a bit of a bigger squad. Isn't this only an issue because of 3 at the back? Yeah, but I mean, to a degree, but that, you know, you're talking about totally different. Then where does Ahmad play? And then we have to have an Ahmad discussion, you know, because right now the plus to this is we can play Ahmad. You go to a regular 4-3-3, then where's Ahmad playing? Now you have the same issue. You have one of your most important players who doesn't have a role. Who's going to be behind Mbeumo? Unlikely. So, you know, you create issues with players either way on that. So, you know, Bruno certainly could be deeper in the midfield, you know, as in there. There's no doubt about that. It's good. I mean, look, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Osimhen instead of Mbeumo and Delap. Sure, but we're not going to do that. I would take it. I would take Osimhen over anything, but we're not going to do that. But you look, this is the challenge. This is the challenge. This we don't particularly know as of yet. Can Mbeumo play wingback too? Can Mbeumo play wingback? Will Bruno play up here? Is Ahmad basically the backup for both of these roles? Potentially. Potentially that's true too. So we'll have to. It's a challenging one, but we do like him. We do like him, and I think that the question is, like, as you asked, like, what if we aren't getting a striker? Well, if we aren't getting a striker, then yeah, I don't know. Unable to give memberships on phone. Oh no, Jonathan. Find a computer, give me money. No, but look, there hasn't been any suggestion as of yet that we're changing, you know, our approach to this whole thing. I think that like an article from the Telegraph and such today said again, you know, we've got Cunha's coming. We want Delap and we want Mbeumo, you know, in there as like the main other targets. So it's a question. It's a question of that I really don't have the answer to right now. But I'd like to just have more good players. I would just like to have more good players. That's what I would like to do. I would like to have more good players and hopefully, you know, figure it out. Is it a contingency plan for Bruno potentially leaving? Maybe, but we do want 3 forwards anyways. I was a little surprised when we started making the move for him because It seemed like we maybe wanted more of a younger, more development player in there, which would make a lot of sense, as it would allow us to continue to play Bruno and have somebody in for depth or something like that. Yes, please do leave a like. There's 1,500 people here. Just 200 likes. You can do better. You can do better. You can do better. Help me out, man. Help me out. But yeah, I mean that's life. So let's move on to striker. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to the striker discussion. Because overnight I saw that there was one post that said Gyokeres is probably not happening now, if I'm not mistaken, right? From one person. I'm not so sure that I'm buying that as of yet as an update. I don't know what it would have to do with Germany, which tends to be where this individual gets most of his accurate reports. I know for certain, let's say, that there was plenty of inaccurate reports around United from said journalist in January, where we were being linked to 65 different people and none of them were true. Alfred, to be honest, I don't know if United can accommodate Bruno, Cunha, Ahmad, and Mbeumo and a striker in the 11 with the current squad. They would need monsters at 6 and right center back. Yeah, yeah. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't disagree with you at all. Yeah, I really don't disagree with you at all. Yeah, from play. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call things out, but I don't like to call necessarily people out in general. You need to have a call-in show. We'll sponsor that. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll probably want to do that as we're coming in here to summer to do a few different things with variety. A call-in show would be really good. I just have to figure out the best way to do it because I'm not as great technically at setting all this all up as some people are. But thanks, Jonathan. Thank you very much, Jonathan. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that the statement saying that we were signing Cunha means no Gyokeres as completely irrelevant. That I can tell you for 100% fact have nothing to do with each other. We've been trying to bring in Cunha for months. And he's been a target there for months, and we always wanted a striker. Cunha's been there. We knew Cunha was being signed 3 weeks ago when we were starting to push for Gyokeres. So I know that part isn't true, and that makes me doubt the veracity of the report in general, because I know that that's not true. So when half of it doesn't make any sense, then I don't really understand. Any possibility of Cunha as a striker? Well, that's a different question. If we suddenly decided Cunha would be the 9, he's not a 9. He could play as a 9 from time to time, as a rhyme and a bind. No, he could, but I don't think that he will. I don't think that he fits ideally what we would want. I've watched a lot of Victor Gyokeres, and I got to tell you what's really funny is that I said beforehand that I thought that we would do well with Højlund because he does kind of play like Victor Gyokeres. If you kind of watch them when Højlund was doing well, they did look semi-similar in style of how they play, and same goes for Liam Delap to a degree. I understand why these players are being targeted, but they're not at all like Cunha. Stylistically, they're very, forget quality for a second, stylistically very different to Cunha. I can see a false 9 like Xerxes playing at times because he's good at back to goal. In fact, he's better at back to goal, worse at running the channels, but he's very good at back to goal, backing the defender down, receiving the ball in his chest, dropping it off, giving it to other people. Cunha doesn't have the same qualities. I don't think he does. I don't think he has that experience of being back to the center backs in the same way. He's more like the guy you want to play off the guy doing that. I'm not sure, but obviously it's something you could do in a pinch, but I don't think it's a plan we want to go into the season with. I think if we couldn't find a striker, then they would figure out how to make Xerxes work there, and go with that plan for the season more than anything else. I do not think we would be doing that. StreamYard, yeah, and I do have that, and I can figure it out. I just have to link it up to YouTube and such. Any possibility of Cunha? Yeah, so you asked me that. The other name is Mateta, is still of interest to, yes, Cunha played off of like Strand Larson, right? The other name is Mateta that I do know obviously we've been interested in as well, and that's one that I think we can think about. He might be rather expensive though, and that would be difficult. I don't think we'll be able to get Strand Larson out of Wolves, and I don't think we want him. Mateta has been really growing to me as a player. He does stylistically fit as well what we would kind of want. Emery can do one, set as expected after loss to Chelsea. Payback for Europa final 2021. He can go to Europa as expected. That beach. Well, here's the thing. They needed to win the game. They didn't. They didn't win. It's too bad. It's too bad. You needed to go win the game. You were supposed to give the game away. You played crappy football. It's like we lost the Europa final. We can't blame anybody else for that, for not having Champions League. We can't. We just cannot blame anybody else for not having Champions League. You can't blame anybody else for not having Champions League. Smokey, any midfielders? Yeah, I can talk about that in a second. I'll try to get to it, and I don't have anything as concrete as what we've been discussing on the forwards, but I really like Mateta in general, but it's going to be tough to sell. It's going to be tough to a tough sell, a tough buy, essentially, a tough buy to get that done, to get him when he's in Europa. When will you make my new ex a moderator? Oh boy. So that's going to be a tough one, no doubt about that. So we're supposed to find out now. So look, it's complicated. I'm trying to walk through what's happening and the thought process. I don't think anybody has 100% certainty the exact way that we're planning, but what we know is we're still trying to get these strikers. We're hearing hopefully about Delap in like the next day or two. We should hear about Gyokeres in the next day or two. Meanwhile, we're talking to Mbeumo. One thing that I suspect one thing that I do suspect is not necessarily that we want to get Mbeumo instead of a striker, but I think we want to make sure that if it's going to take us time to figure out the striker, that we don't miss out on potential other targets. So let's say Delap goes elsewhere. Let's say Gyokeres goes elsewhere. And we still have budget available now, right? Then what we would want to do is say, well, let's see if we can just push to get Mbeumo done. So we get another player. So we can get another player in that we really like as a good forward, and then, and then figure the striker thing out once we've got more sales. And you have to be flexible like that at times. You've got to be agile in this kind of market, in this situation that we're in, because we may not be going first choice every single position. So that's partially what we're going to have to figure out. Sales are obviously going to be a big factor here. We need to hear about this Alvaro Fernandez deal wrapping up as well, so that gives us a big chunk of money. Anthony's going to be a tough one. Again, I'll break down all the exact details. It may not be Batiste. If it is, it's more likely to be a loan with a permanent option for a lower price. It won't do much for us year one. Likely will do more for us in the future. So that's partially like that. No, I'm reading it from the left. It just may be backwards. I don't know at home how it's mirrored. The other thing is, what was I going to say? Distracted me. Rashford, obviously, he will not be going to Aston Villa now, pretty certainly. But as Fabrizio said, we're still going to do the 40 million option for Rashford will be enough for anybody to buy him. So Barcelona might make it. Barcelona. How about saving our money backing me? Oh, Rasmus. Alfred, adding Mbeumo and Cunha kind of eases the goal need from the 9 anyway. Perhaps that makes Xerxes easier to stomach or just a stopgap 9 signing. Well, I have the same thought, and I know people won't like it, and I know it's a compromise, but I've said before, think Liverpool when you think United, when you think Amorim. Think Liverpool. Don't think City. Don't think Arsenal. Think Liverpool. Firmino, Mane, Salah, that dynamic. Cunha, Xerxes, Mbeumo. I can see the vision. Now, what does that require? It's going to require, well, it's going to require those wingbacks for sure. Those wingbacks are going to have to be really, really strong attacking wingbacks. And that midfield is going to have to be murder ball, out of possession. They got to be leggy, fast, strong. They've got to run people down, okay? And I think that is an interesting kind of dynamic to play. Xerxes isn't that good. Maybe not. Maybe he will be someday. We'll see. Maybe he'll be as good as Firmino. Maybe he won't. And Mbeumo's not as good as Salah. Like, it doesn't matter, but it's okay. Is it true we're not selling Onana or Rasmus? I want to get to them in a second, Samix. Thank you for that. I do want to get to them in a second. Obviously, these players are not at that level, but there is a dynamic that can work. There is a dynamic that can work through all of them and give them time to work together. Salah wasn't Salah before he played for Liverpool to the level that he is. Sadio Mane was good, but he wasn't as good as he got at Liverpool. Firmino was a pretty damn good player. Actually, when they bought him, he almost fell off a little bit at Liverpool to a degree. But he did really good. But look, it's an option. There's a question. There's a question that comes with that. There's a question that comes with that. And just stylistically, there is a way that can work approximately in a worst case scenario with that. But it needs midfielders, and we do want midfielders. And Ederson is a pretty strong match for Liverpool as well. They really wanted him. He was I think their second choice behind McAllister a while ago, and they've looked at him 2-3 summers in a row. I know leggy is wrong. I always say leggy, but like they need to have legs is what I meant. We do want midfielders like that, and Ederson fits a murder ball midfield to run over people and put in a lot of energy and put in a lot of pressing and put in a lot of work and physicality and athleticism, which, by the way, you've seen that now. A lot of athleticism. That's what we're looking for in the market. That was in that whole report from Laurie that we talked about, that I've been talking about for weeks now. That is the big focus. They want athletes. They want big players. They want players who can run. I say big, I mean guys who work real hard, who can do what they need to do, and get the job done, cover ground, beat players on the dribble. So, I'm thinking, I got to tell you, I think to a degree, that going for Mbeumo is a part of, okay, let me check. Hold on. Yeah, I saw that about making a decision between 4 clubs. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. What am I missing? What am I missing? I don't think I missed anything. But I do wonder about the concept here of do we go with getting Mbeumo if we cannot, like, can we accelerate a deal for Mbeumo as the main man to play off of a front three that's a little bit different? Like a Xerxes number 9 with direct powerful players like Cunha and Mbeumo next to him. There's a possibility. I'm kind of worried we're not focusing on midfield. Barring Ugarte, we don't have a murder ball midfielder. We can't trust Cass for a season. Ugarte can't start all 38 games. I completely agree with you. We will get to it. We will get to it. We will get to it. We do want midfielders. I mean, let me look. I don't get me wrong here. I know. We do want midfielders. Okay. It is for sure. I'm not. It's just that the attack is where here's the thing with this summer. Okay. Here's the thing with this summer. There's a huge race for the forwards. You understand what I mean by that in terms of timing? There's a huge race for the forwards. Cunha, and Mbeumo. Yeah, and Mbeumo pronounced it this way. I used to pronounce it a different way, and I watched him pronounce it to learn how to do it. Cunha, Mbeumo, Delap, Gyokeres, the forwards on the market, everybody's competing for. Not so in the midfield. Not so in the midfield. Okay, we have time in the midfield. We have time to get to it in the midfield. Do we need to add a midfielder? 100%. We absolutely do need to add a midfielder, but you may not love it. I've said it before. It's still different. We're not necessarily going to be doing like we need to blow all our budget on the midfield and an Amram system because it's just not exactly the way that he plays football. That's the truth of it. I want to add, though, of course we need to add to the midfield because if you look at it, Christian Eriksen played about 1,500, 1,600 minutes this year. One way or another, we have to replace that. One way or another, we have to replace that. We have to replace. What do you mean, check Fabrizio on Mbeumo? Are you baiting me? Did you guys get baited? I don't think he said anything on Mbeumo. What? Is my Twitter just lagging? You guys are baiting me. It's so rude. It's so rude. So rude. Trolls. Definitely. Yeah, there's nothing. I need mods. Where are my mods? Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec. Apologies. 1,600 people watching a chair. Thanks for that. No. Anyway, thanks. I'm back. But yeah, I think it'll change. I think it'll change. I think that we will go for a midfielder. We do want Ederson, but I think we only want one. I think we just want one person for the midfield this year. We have Kobbie Mainoo. We want to get him going. We have Ugarte. He hasn't been mentioned in any of these articles about who we're selling, by the way. And then we have who else? We have Casemiro still. We have Bruno. So yeah, I think they're gonna add at least one to it. If your mods are Nico Bear, God help you, mate. No, honestly, I do need to make some mods because Smokey, are you here? Are you here, Smokey? I'll make some mods in the on YouTube that are people I like. Because I can't ask the mods in Discord who are already completely tired of moderating Discord anymore. But I do think we'll go for somebody. Hey, Smokey, do you want to be a moderator on the channel? Users that I trust. What's mods? No, I'm not. No. I've got people I like. All right, Smokey. Here you go. You wield the power. You wield the power to moderate the chat. Good luck. Have fun. You don't have to. Ronaldo? Why are you guys typing Ronaldo? What is going on? Is this bait again? You guys are doing the same thing. Not Ford, please. No, it won't be Ford. Yeah, this is bait again. You'll block the Ugarte haters. We have spoken to people around Gyokeres' camp, but I have not heard anything about since like Sunday. I don't know anything since Sunday. There you go. You got a blue name. Whether you do anything or not, you got a blue name. You know, don't worry about it too much. Marcus would. Yeah, Marcus probably would. Here you go, Marcus. I'll add you as well. Have fun. If you see anything crazy, go for it. Ronaldo is leaving. No way. Well, you guys are actually not baiting me now. What? You're not baiting me. That is serious. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Listen. He only got kicked out by that terrorist known as Eric Ten Hag. I can't say it. I can't say it with a straight I can't say it with a straight face. I can't say it with a straight face. He scored. What did he score for us that one season, by the way? You know what's totally insane? I was thinking about this the other day. All right. When Ronaldo played for us the second time, okay. Do you know what's insane? Like what's actually mind blowing? Hold on. It's almost unbelievable. Do you know how many goals he scored in 21-22? Do you remember how many goals he scored in 21-22 for us? 18 goals in the Premier League. And we said this guy's not good enough. This guy's not good enough, right? You know, 18 goals in the Premier League and we said he's crap. He's not good enough. Now we have a striker who scores 4 goals. All I'm saying is yeah, the narrative was he was stealing all the goals, and I think we were all wrong because we were thinking, look, he didn't fit Solskjaer's team. There's no doubt about that. He didn't fit Solskjaer's team. Let's be real, right? What we were doing at the time, and we were sitting there like, and we were all wrong. We were like all wrong about this because I think obviously I'm being facetious over here about re-signing Cristiano Ronaldo. All right, I'm being facetious a little bit. I'm just like you know what I'm doing here, right? But at the same time, 4 goals, man. 4 goals. We didn't know. We didn't know. We did not know what was ready. We did not know what was coming. We didn't know what was coming. Rasmus can't run either. He's glued to a center back. I think Ronaldo would run more than Rasmus runs. Don't ban me. Don't ban me for this. Can Ronaldo play wing back? Listen, all I'm saying is that Ronaldo coming back was one of my favorite moments ever in the last 15 years, like the 12 years. The hype of that was on another level. I remember the night when we thought it was all going to City. And you know, put me in timeout. You know, we were going to City and we were all like, "Oh my god." And then I heard that night like maybe we have a chance, and then woke up like to the absolute madness. The absolute madness of everything, you know. Agent Andre got something for us. I know. That's old, by the way. I know Amarim Ball, good friend of mine. I know him. I talk to him all the time. That is an old photo, but I was saying earlier on The View that we're gonna need Onana to put in some work for us here. Okay, enter Ataman. he's this is his OnlyFans right now. It's hearing someone run Ronaldo prop on YouTube. But that was a crazy day. Fab said, "Wait, are you guys are you guys baiting me? I need you guys to not bait me. Are you guys? I need, because you got to realize like I'm prone to overreactions here. All right, I'm prone to overreactions. I need to trust my chat. There's too many of you here right now. So he just did put ooh, it does say breakthrough. Bambazos, oh, best Barcelona. Now I'm gonna have to listen to Fabrizio while I do this. So just hold on a second. Oh, we appreciate Mbeumo. What's he saying? Hang on, I'm just listening. Same thing I said. Right. Not replacing the striker, yeah. Gyokeres is still on the table. Okay. All right. Cool. No. That's cool. No. Look. What he says is it depends on outgoing. It also depends on Gyokeres because money, things like that too. Like, but this is exactly what I'm saying. First of all, again, Gyokeres not off the table, right? It's not off the table from based on what Fabrizio's saying. It's still alive. It's still a live situation. Yeah, Jimbo, how about you too? I trust you. I trust you as much as anybody could. Here you go, Jimbo. Have fun. Help me out. Fabrizio watch along. No, he's not saying that anything we don't know, but he is confirming basically everything I've said in this video, right? And Mbeumo's not replacing a striker, but based on how he was talking, it's kind of aligning with my theory. Like, if we go for a more expensive striker, obviously we definitely need sales. We definitely need sales. Gyokeres is still a possibility. Yeah, there's a lot up in the air on this, but basically we're being flexible. We're working on all of these different names, all of these different things. We need sales, we need money either way. If we get Gyokeres, we can't afford Mbeumo now. If we get Delap or no striker, then we could go for Mbeumo right away, probably, is essentially the point. Yeah. That's how I see it. That's how I see it personally. Um, this is how I get it based on everything, and I think that Fabrizio's slight info there helps. Um, we want we're lining up in Mbeumo, who we like anyway. Did I miss yours, Dominic? I'm sorry, dude. Ronaldo's banging more goals than Delap for sure. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But what I would say is that we if we don't get our striker, we probably try to buy Mbeumo right away. Just put the money in the bag. If we get a striker, then we're going to have to sell before we can buy him. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Other sales. I want to talk about Onana here in a minute. Because on Onana, he is hard to sell. Like I was doing this video for tomorrow, and I was prepping like the slides and stuff for my wonderful PowerPoints. And like looking at the numbers on Onana, it's going to be hard to sell him. It is going to be hard to sell him. And I think that the issue here is that, you know, we definitely want a goalkeeper. Have no doubt about that. We want a goalkeeper. But we're going to need to probably move by India, more likely. Onana is a tough sell. We don't have solid buyers for him. The Saudi thing is going nowhere at the moment. I'm fairly certain that the Saudi thing is going nowhere for Onana at the moment. Amram and them want a keeper, but again, they want competition. He actually quite likes, I've heard this a couple of times from a couple of people that he likes Onana, but like I think it's personally he likes Onana, like as a person. But he does want competition. He wants safe hands and all of that, like we've talked about. I don't think Onana will go to Saudi. I don't think that's actually anything solid in that at the moment. You know, I don't think there is. So with his wages, with what we owe on him, we would need a fairly significant offer to move him on. But we do want a keeper. You saw this morning. Move it on to spending a little bit here as in terms of the other purchases. You saw this morning again another link to Lamens, right? So our strongest link is Lamens and Vanya, and I think that they are 20 to 25 million for those players. So we have to be cognizant of our money here and how we buy them. But I think Lamens would be, yeah, the Onana to Saudi thing is seemingly going down the hole. Everybody I've spoken to about it says that it's not going anywhere. There doesn't seem to be any reality to him going to Saudi at the moment. So, you know, Lamens seems like the type of guy, but he is young, right? I mean, Lamens is a more inexperienced. I'll tell you something funny, though. Somebody did say that Onana was rested ahead of national team duty, but he didn't get called up to national team duty. Sorry, I was just answering a message there. It's actually rather interesting. Lamenza is a good prospect, so I think having another senior keeper alongside of him kind of makes sense to me. Would you take Ruben Neves on the cheap? No, not for me. No legs. No legs. No legs. Not for me. Not at this point. Not after leaving. I wouldn't trust the legs. I wouldn't trust the legs, the running. We're not screwed. We're not screwed. Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, but yeah, I like the idea of Lamens. Obviously, it was interesting because it seems like what Joan Garcia suddenly turned down Barcelona out of the blue, like nobody knew that. And then suddenly he's looking to the Premier League. But he doesn't seem to be on our radar so much. Owen Thompson, hope it's not Vanya. Too many parries into danger. I don't know enough about keepers. I haven't watched him. I just know he's made good saves. What am I drinking? It's kombucha, health aid kombucha. It's just my latest thing. It's my latest thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, wait, what James is there another James that you're responding to? Take Kovar back. I don't know. He hasn't been particularly good or something. I don't know. What's life if there's nothing to believe in, eh? Yeah. Barcelona told him they'd loan him. Yeah. Vanya's got really good stats on the things that matter, catching crosses and stopping shots. And that's what they're looking for. It's not even a V-neck, it's a zip-up sweater. But yeah, I'm old. We probably do have a buyback. You guys have just completely distracted me. Hold on. Yeah, we have synergy in the fridge as well, I think. Big keeper, big keeper, big keeper. Yeah, I like big keepers as well. I do. I like big, tall, giant keepers that fill the goal. um, yeah, keepers, you got to watch them. I can't say I've watched enough of any of them, to be fair, to say that. I'm not going to say I'm a good judge of keepers at all. I just know that I like big, tall keepers who block the net massively. But no, look, we want to get to these types of players. We want to sign these types of players. We want to address the goalkeeper position. We want to address the midfield position. We want to do all of that. Look, man, every stream, I say at least 5 things that people can take out of context. Okay, it's just life. I don't think about my words very much. What you get from me is just from here straight out. I don't stop to think about it. I don't know any other way to be. I don't think I'd talk if I go any other way. Emmy Martinez, we in for him. We were interested, but maybe not. We were interested, but I have not heard anything further on it as of this point in time. Reports about Bowen, Gerard Bowen. What would he be? A wingback for us? Yeah. Yeah, I saw the link to Mads Hermansen from Leicester. What some people said though was that after his injury, he was playing like not so great, but he was obviously linked to us by Ducker this morning. So yeah, Martinez would have to sit the first 3 games. Yes, he'd also be suspended to start the season. Good tackler though. If we start a rugby team, um, but yeah, we've talked about the Cunha thing. I want to just summarize that a minute. We talked about Cunha's done. We've talked about Mbeumo and the strikers and how we're lining these things up. And potentially, if we can't get our striker right away, we could maybe try to get Mbeumo done. But right now, he's leaning elsewhere. We'd have to convince him. Still, there's other options in addition to that. But we want to get that front part of the team done with sales of like Garnacho, Rashford, etc. that will help us do it. I might not. Oh my God, we have another cosplayer. That's wild. work from home issues. Just call him. Just call him from out there. Just my son. Sorry. Anyway. So yeah. I believe that our money up front is going to be how we fix the front. My son is 6. The money up front is going to be how we. Hold on. That's fine. I see what you're talking about, ESPN. Here, hold on. Let me pull this article up to show you guys because someone just mentioned this. They're not trolling, but it's nothing. It's not what it may seem because it's kind of what we've always known. Hold on here. I'll pull it up. I'm sorry it's so bright. Manchester United have agreed the framework of a deal for Liam Delap and are now waiting for him to decide on his next move. So we've informed them we'll meet the clause if he gives the green light. We have personal terms with his representative and could move quickly once the 22-year-old makes a decision on his future. Cunha, interested in, hey, we got a link to Ezzy. Mbeumo and Ezzy. I mean, this is more Bruno replacements, isn't it? It just means we've agreed a deal, you know? Like, it's not really breaking because we've kind of had this already settled. We knew we were going to play, we knew we were going to pay the clause. We knew we were going to pay, you know, that personal terms weren't the issue. It's just, we're still waiting for his decision. But the bigger standout in this to me continues to be the links to players that are like kind of Bruno-ish replacements, aren't they? Ezzy, Mbeumo. I mean, Ezzy, I don't know, man. It's But then again, it can just be contingencies. It can also be just adding depth because technically we need more players. I mean, if we go back to our lineup for a quick sec, for a hot minute. I mean, if you ignore the names for a moment, not, you know, like who's starting and who's not, it's not like this is too many players. You know what I mean? Like if we ignore the names for a sec, what do you think of RA's comment about changes to who controls Carrington? Mourinho said he was more of a manager than a coach at United. Yeah, I think that's big. I think it's big. I think it's kind of what we know, you know, in terms of Vivell and Wilcox and some of the sackings and replacements and things. But, you know, like if you think about this, it's not like this is too many players. But I think it is very interesting and I think it maybe will help. This isn't too many players. It's just you have this question about who's starting. That's the question. I think Eze is a bad deal too, personally. Like he's a good player, but I think he's going to be expensive. For what he is. I think he will be expensive. Yeah, the release clause paid in full, all of that. Yeah, left hand. I mean, he could replace Mount, but there's no fucking way. Like, it's moving Mount is going to be so hard to near impossible. Going to be near enough impossible for that. Is Patrick Schick a legit consideration? I don't think so. Do you think Delap comes? Again, it's a maybe. We're just everybody's waiting for Delap. This seems like a briefing, right? Because the Mail got it, ESPN got it, a lot of people got it. We're just waiting for his decision now. I think the draw of Delap is we have more money to spend elsewhere too. I mean, this isn't like too many players. It's just confusing. Are you gonna play Bruno deep all the time? Is Mbeumo gonna come off the bench? I don't think so. Did I say Mbeumo prefers the Champions League? Yeah, basically. It seems like Turkey's not totally on our radar. I don't think that it's Delap and Mbeumo versus Gyokeres though, because with sales, it's not like we couldn't do a lot of it anyway. It's just a little more complicated. I mean, either way, I'm a little confused, honestly. It just seems like a lot of money. It seems like a lot of money given Bruno. Because that's what I'm saying too, Irish. Like, I kind of look at it and I'm like, in just purely starting 11 terms, isn't it better to have Gyokeres and Bruno in here? Probably. Unless you're going to move Bruno deep, and that's just he's going to transition into that role. But his off-ball work needs to change to improve dramatically to play deeper. We're going to regret it halfway through the season. But we can score goals. Put it that way. We will score some fucking goals. I mean, if your worry is goal scoring, if this doesn't score goals, I mean, I don't know what will. But then, yeah, Kabi Mainu is a tough spot for him. But yeah, if this doesn't score goals, I truly don't know what will. Because that is a hell of a team. I mean, in terms of goal scoring. But then why would we be targeting Ederson, which we have been? We have been talking about. We have been looking at. Like, here's the thing. We haven't changed our transfer strategy in the last 2 weeks. Just bear that in mind. The strategy's been building all season. That's one thing to bear in mind. We haven't been like reactive. So if we've been targeting to get someone like Ederson in, I don't see that Bruno is that midfielder. It's just what we have right now. So I'm not sure, man. Okay. It's been good. It's been fun. But I'm gonna end it here. It's been over an hour and a half, and I'll get back to it tomorrow. I'll give you a video in the morning tomorrow, my time, as well as I'll do a live tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully by then we can figure out we'll find out a bit more. I'll see if I have any updates by that point in time, but I think we've talked it out. As much as we possibly can as far as where we are at today in our quest for greatness. Please like the video on your way out. Get it up 600, 700, 800, 1,000. I appreciate you all being here. It's been an interesting few days to come because we do have big things happening on the striker front. It feels like we're on the cusp of finding out what's going to happen on the striker side of things and where we go from here. So thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.